We got to do this. This is one of those horrible ones. Despite the fact we won on Saturday, Duke, and I was at your fine establishment, was I not, for this
You was.
this particular
You were.
shit show? But
You was.
no,
You were. You was.
no other way
You
of
were.
describing it. But for those of you
You
watching
were.
either live or at your own leisure, please, guys, don't forget to drop a like on this stream. Unlike the match that we're talking about, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And don't forget to do what you do with the bell. What are they doing with it this week, Duke? They shaking it?
I think after the game, scuttling the bell is where I'm at. We tried to scuttle our own chances, so we're going to scuttle the bell.
Yeah, sounds about right. Elliot, hope you're well. Neil as well. Oh, 6:30 on a Tuesday morning. But mind you, that was probably about half an hour ago. Mr. The Ghostbusters. Behave yourself, Milesy. Now.
What have I missed?
I don't know. Anyway, shall we turn our attentions to matters at Aggborough on Saturday?
Do we have to? I don't want to relive it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this one's not going to take that long because I'm of the opinion, and I think you're probably going to be on the same page as me, and probably most other West Ham fans, to say that despite the fact that we're quite glad that we're in the hat for the fifth round draw, that's about as much as I've got. You know, it's like that was awful to watch, and I feel desperately sorry for Kidderminster.
Yeah, you know what? I've been saying this for the last 2 days, really, to be honest with you, Rob. To people coming in the pub and everything else. We were shocking. And I'm not something. I'm not one to sit here and try and. I'm not one to sit here and try and make excuses. Listen, we should have lost that game. We should have. Listen, we should be embarrassed, regardless of the fact that we won, right? We shouldn't be there. We should be embarrassed at our performance. You were here. We scored the equaliser. I dropped to my knees, thanking God that the equaliser had gone in. You saw me. I was off the chair and on my knees, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And it was. I just can't. Listen. Ken had it right. We're going at half time, losing. He did say that on the stream. Put a bet on. I didn't.
He did.
I didn't. But I should have done. And I remember sitting here on Friday evening with you and people in the chat, and I said, did I not? This is going to be a banana. I said that I was concerned. I also agreed with you that I felt that we should have had talent on the pitch, even with the second string side, if that's what you want to call them, to be able to go out and do. Now, that being said, wow, that was poor. That was so painful to watch. Now, we'll cover it as we go. I've lost you. You're back again. We'll cover it as we go. But there are a couple of people, as well as one person in particular, I never, ever want to see in a West Ham shirt again, be that in training pictures, be that in match, be that anything else. I'm telling you now, if I see that man in a West Ham shirt again, I'm going to lose my shit. He is a fucking disgrace.
Is it this fella?
That man there, he is a disgrace to the West Ham shirt, right? Couple of things. One, I saw I saw minimum effort from him, and by minimum effort I mean next to none. You know, he walks around like he's shit don't stink. He threw himself to the floor in the second half, Rob, in a
Oh,
blatant
God.
dive, a blatant disrespect to the opposition to throw himself to the floor like he did to try and gain a penalty. And as I said, listen, I called him the C word in a pub.
You did?
Sitting with you guys. In front of, and Steve, I apologise. I've just
You
seen
called
the
him
chat there.
cowardly.
I did, yes. I called him something, yeah. I do apologise to Steve because he's young boy was there, and I do apologise. You know, young James was sitting there as he says there, just like as the game went on. The poor sod. Yama is an absolute fucking disgrace to the West Ham shirt, and someone posted all over social media cut the video clip of Declan Rice's goal. Okay, the equaliser.
Yep.
And there were two distinct reactions in that video on opposite sides of the video.
I know where you're going. Yep.
Now, one was Pablo Fornals.
Yep.
He literally did a star jump, punch in the air. Now, it meant the world to him that we got that goal. You could see it. Declan Rice pulling out the Michael Jackson. I get it. I think it's a little bit embarrassing considering it was a 93rd minute equaliser against a team in the 6th tier of English football. But on the other side of the pitch, Yarmolenko turned on his heels, started walking back to the halfway line, that he was pissed off, Rob, that he was going to have to play another half hour. That's how that came across to me. That's how it came across to me. That he was pissed off that there was another 30 minutes to play. Mate, I can't even got a word to go. There needs to be a word invented to describe how bad Yarmolenko was.
Yeah.
Right? We need to invent a word that describes just how bad that man was.
Oh,
he's an embarrassment to our football
I could think
club.
of a few.
He's an embarrassment. Not ones that we can put on here.
No.
He's an embarrassment to his football club. He's an embarrassment to his country. Like, honestly, the guys are running jokes. And I just listen. I'm fucking too tired to celebrate.
He'd be no good if Putin decides to sort of cross the Ukrainian-Russian border, would he? And the Ukrainians sort of like do conscription. He wouldn't be any good. He's not someone you want in the trenches with you.
I'm just disgusted by him, Rob. I don't think. Listen, I can't. I'm not going to spend my time wasting my breath.
Would you say, looking at this was the starting 11 that David Moyes kicked out, and I think, in all honesty, and I said this to you earlier when we was having a little chat on the phone, I don't think this is a million miles away from the team that most people probably would have picked, if we're being completely honest with you. So I think that the team, in terms of the personnel, given what David Moyes had, the team that he was being asked to put to the sword, what he's got at his disposal, the game coming up on Tuesday night, etc., etc. I think, if everything being taken into account, that 11 is largely a correct 11. Now, obviously, hindsight's perfect vision. We know how the performance turned out, but that 11 should have been enough to do more than labour to a 2-1 after extra time victory against a 6th tier team, shouldn't it?
You got 6 internationals in that team. No worries, Cyber, not a problem, mate. It was good to see you yesterday. There are 6 internationals in that team, mate.
I'm just going to answer this one real quick, Milesy. Mido, because he was only on £1,000 a week.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there were 6 internationals in that squad. Like regular internationals. Ariola was part of it, obviously. He's called up to most of the games, isn't he, for France?
Yep.
You've got Zuma. He's called up to the games of France, right? He's been out injured. You've got Kral, Czechoslovakian, Czech Republic international. You've got Yama, Ukrainian international. You've got Ben Rama, and you've got Vlasic there. You've got 6 full-fledged international players.
Yeah.
Now, And then you've got players that are there that I can't even. You've got Jared Bowen, who probably will be in international.
Mm.
And as we said, he's the only one that actually looked in that first half like he was playing. Diop looked absolute Jesus wept. Like he weren't even at the races. He was the one-legged horse called three-legged horse called tripod. Fredericks and Johnson did what they could to try and bloody stem the tide. And not being funny to Noble, but he just again he felt sluggish. Again, he's not playing as much football as you'd like, or probably he'd like. He's probably playing the right amount of football that we'd like. Crowell, see, again, looks sluggish, looks slow, but again, with the amount of minutes he's not played and that he's missed out on in games that he probably should have been picked in, he could have had a lot more minutes appearances than he's had this season. I still, to this day, cannot work out why Vlasic went off instead of Yarmolenko. But at the end of the day, listen, that starting 11 should have been, but wasn't good enough.
What do you think? It was just, it's not a personnel thing. It's not a question of it was the wrong formation deployed by David Moyes. It's purely a mentality issue.
It's a mentality issue by those 11 that walked out onto that pitch. The only one who probably didn't, what was I saying?
The only one that you think looked half decent of that lot. Who would you was about to say?
Listen, Bowen played.
Yeah,
he looked like he was trying. Benrahma and Yarmolenko looked like they were trying to just beat every man that was on that pitch. I get frustrated because they could have gone out there and won that. Benrahma, Yarmolenko looked like they wanted to take on the world and it's grown on their own. Diop looked like just so poor at times. Crowell, Noble looked slow in midfield. They was much like Diop, second to most balls. And Bowen kind of didn't know where he was playing because it just seemed all over the gaff. Thankfully, Moyes had the hindsight to do a change at half time. Two changes at half time, in fact, and Diop and Crowell going off for Deckers and for BVD, and it didn't really change much for us. We still looked dodgy, and we couldn't complete a pass. We rocked up thinking that just turning up was going to give us the win. And those 11 players there for Kidderminster embarrassed us. Just honestly, fucking embarrassed us.
Yeah, and obviously the guy that scored the goal for them, Alex Penny, the right back. 19 minutes, he gets the goal, and you wind forward to the 90th minute, you're getting into injury time, and he must have been sitting there thinking, I've scored the goal that's going to be the biggest cup upset, I would suggest, arguably ever, because I struggle to remember the last time a Premier League team was put out by a Tier 5 team, i.e. Conference, let alone Tier 6. I can't think of that ever happening. Certainly not in the Premier League era, and I'm struggling to think of the last time a Tier 1 team was put out in the cup by a Tier 6 team. This would have been, I would argue, this would have been the biggest cup shock, bar none, in terms of the disparity between the two teams. But obviously Declan Rice had other ideas, Duke. And for me, I think, and I know, and listen, I'm not going to go overboard because with all due respect to them, it is a tier 6 team. It is Kidderminster. But it reminded me of the type of performances I'm talking about when you have someone that looks at what's going on around him and says, I can't put up with this. I just can't. And he literally grabs the game by the scruff of the neck and drags his team along with him. And I was thinking about earlier, do you remember Roy Keane? Champions League semi-final in 1999, second leg against Juventus. The score on aggregate was 3-1. They were 2-0 down away to Juventus, and they were going out of the Champions League. And Roy Keane, who had been booked and was going to miss the final, went up with this I shall not put, and put in a performance that literally turned that tie and the match and the tie on its head and got Manchester United obviously to the final, which they later won. And like I say, I'm not trying to compare Juventus to Kidderminster, but I'm saying in terms of the influence that Roy Keane had on that night is equivalent to what Declan Rice had yesterday, coming off of the bench, admittedly, and obviously, like I say, against a tier 6 team. But you know what I'm trying to say? He literally just looked at this and went, I can't have this. I've literally got to drag this lot of chumps over the line.
Even then, mate, he still struggled at points. And we said this during the game. I'd even say the first 10 minutes, he still looked like he was struggling to get a grip on the game.
He was probably in shock.
Yeah. But, again, listen, it was a great interchange of passes with Fornals for the goal. The pass back from Fornals with the outside of the boot was sublime. Sublime, and then Deck going through, cut back onto his right. And listen, we all, you, me, Steve, James, we all thought that ball had gone over at one point. We all shit ourselves because we thought it had gone over. But he's nestled it into the roof of the net. He's gone off to the side. He's done his little bit of a, Michael Jackson hee moment. Yarmolenko sculpts off down the right. Everyone's come running over to the left to celebrate. So, again, it was that heartbreaking moment for Kidderminster. But we were lucky. We were lucky to even get that chance. Listen, the game could have been done and dusted the way they were playing. They played some really good football.
Yeah.
Really good football.
And this is just looking at the stats here. You could turn around and you could make the argument, but West Ham surely were the better team. They had 73% possession. They had more shots on goal, or they had more shots. They had equally the amount of shots on target. They had by far the most amount of corners. Yet this is one of those rarities in football. A game where you might look at, if you didn't know how the game transpired and you didn't know anything about the teams, you just look at the stats and go, well, it was clearly only one team in it, and yet that's very far from being the case.
Well, there was only one team in it, and it was Kidderminster. It's just not what those stats say. Honestly, we got to the last 3 minutes when they put the ball up. You, me, Steve, James, very much. And yeah, I'd like, mate. They should have beaten us. They should have beaten us.
Or at the very least, taking it to a penalty shootout. At the very least.
At the very least, taking it to a replay back at the London Stadium, Gatesy, and another £500,000. But that's a conversation for another time.
Sharky's just mentioned there. Yes, very, very impressed with this guy. Can't say I'd ever heard of him before Saturday, if I'm being honest, but he put in an absolutely stellar performance, didn't he?
He was a beast against us, wasn't he? Absolute beast of a player.
Yeah, no, I think he was the player that you looked at, and if you had to pick a man of the match, and Neil says it there, he was a worthy man of the match. Yes, I would agree. I think he was absolutely outstanding at the back.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Lucky. That's it. Lucky.
don't think we
Very,
can
very
really say
lucky.
too much more than that, can we? That's
I can't say much more than that. That's spot on, that comment.
well, yeah, you may very well say that. I could not possibly comment. We're not going to labour the point too much, guys. We were very, very fortunate to get through against Kidderminster, but we've just moving on from that. We obviously had the draw yesterday, Southampton away, Duke. Now, what are you thinking?
I won't lie to you. I screamed fucking fix at the TV. Every two teams, every second team that came out, home and away for the game, I screamed fucking fix. Your big teams have avoided each other, have got what you consider to be a lower standard of opposition, shall we say? And I just think it takes a piss. I said as soon as after all the draws, all the teams that come out in the draws, I was going, yes, I'll take them. Yeah, I'll take them away from there. Oh yeah, I'll take Huddersfield. Oh yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll take Norwich, Southampton.
Didn't
I
City
sat
get
there, mate.
Peterborough?
Yeah. I sat there and I went, Southampton. No, fuck off, not us. No. What am I doing?
Do you know the funny thing was, I was watching that. I was watching the draw take place. As you know, I was at the World Seniors Darts Championship yesterday at Circus Tavern, and it was between the second semi-final and the final that the Nottingham Forest game took place, and then you had the draw. And I'm standing there, and they're sort of drawing out the balls, and I was like, have they pulled out?
Was done in the morning,
have they pulled out West Ham yet? It was earlier on. They said
it was 11:40.
Yeah, it was earlier on, wasn't it? Yeah. And I turned around and I said, "Oh, has West Ham been drawn out yet?" And as I said that, West Ham were drawn out. I was like, "Oh, that's timing." And then I turned around and said, "What about Tottenham? Have they been drawn out yet?" Because my missus, there was Tottenham. I was like, "Oh Christ!" So
yeah,
but
it's just a joke, and I'm frustrated. But again, we might have to up our game to play. We saw it United and City in the Carabao, so it might force us to play a bit better.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe bigger team will put out a better performance. Whereas I think maybe there was a little bit of complacency, and I suppose if you start in second gear, it may be. And I'm not trying to defend the performance. I'm really not. But maybe they've sort of turned up, thought they could play in second gear, realised after 19 minutes second gear isn't going to cut it. And it's possibly then a little bit difficult for you to then sort of like find the momentum that you need mid-match. But listen, it is what it is. Guys that are watching, we are shortly going to finish this stream, and we are immediately going to start a new stream, which is the pre-match for our Watford game. So after we've finished here, don't forget to jump on there on the same channel, of course. Just before we do wrap it up, the only thing I will sort of say is it does now sort of like on the basis of that performance against Kidderminster, it does make you sort of question the wisdom that David Moyes employed in the transfer window. I know we sort of said we're not going to talk too much about it, but it's obviously very close to the transfer window closing, and this game happened a matter of 5 days after it shut. And you're looking and you're going, this kind of highlights that our squad is maybe not as strong as you think it is. We'll leave that one there, shall we?
On it, mate. I've got nothing to say on it. I really don't. I'd like to point out what Kent says. VAR once again. It's embarrassing. They're saying that the Cardiff player initiated the contact by stepping into the goalkeeper. Does that only count against someone doing it against one of the big six?
I was going to say, wasn't that Jota? Palace
did it against Palace and stepped into the goalkeeper, initiated the contact, and got a penalty. Goalkeeper should have been sent off, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, he raked his studs down the back of the guy's calf. Should have gone. And as Ken said, I think there should also have been a penalty involved as well.
Yeah.
different story, right?
Yeah, indeed. But anyway, Duke, we will leave it there and we will reconvene in a couple of minutes to discuss all things West Ham Watford. Please don't forget to like, comment on and share the stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. And as always, guys, thank you very much indeed for your support. Duke, anything you want to add before we wrap this one up?
I don't feel as massive as I once. I don't feel as massive as we once did.
We are semi-massive.
You've got a semi-massive.
I wish.
A massive semi.
Right. Come on, you
See you
irons.
in two.
See you in a few.